All right, thanks for tuning in to 2020 NFL Draft coverage on the Our Football Radio Network. On today's report, we're going to take a look at a couple of players who will not be taken in the first round of this year's draft. Quarterback Jake Fromm and running back Joshua Kelley at UCLA. Before we get started, don't forget to order America's #1 draft guide for 39 years and counting, Our Lads NFL Draft Guide. You can log on to ourlads.com for your subscription order, which can include the Our Lads Draft Review Guide, and more. All right, let's talk a little bit first about Jake Fromm. And as you can see here, in about a minute, you're going to see a deep pass from Jake Fromm, which many scouts believe is what holds Fromm back from being on the upper tier of quarterbacks. So you got to be able to throw the deep pass. But let me tell you something. From my experience, you can learn how to be a deep passer in the NFL, which you really need to be before you get to the NFL. And here's one of those deep passes, which you really have to have more than anything is the ability to be an accurate passer first and foremost, and that's what Fromm does. He has above average accuracy. 2018 especially, he threw to 5 talented receivers. 4 of them are in the NFL, including the Chiefs' McCall Hardman. Most of all, what I love about Fromm is his big game ability. He performs at a high level in big games. He has more big game experience than maybe any quarterback to come out of college. And it started when he was a freshman. Auburn beats them in the SEC championship game. Outduels Baker Mayfield in the Rose Bowl. Gives his team a 13-point lead in the third quarter against Alabama in the national championship game. The team blows it. He doesn't. Comes back his sophomore season. Takes another 2-touchdown lead against Alabama in the SEC championship game. His team blows it again. Otherwise, how would we be looking at Jake Fromm today? Anyway, Fromm has proven time and time again he can deliver. Those are the games that I care about the most. Yeah, he didn't have a great South Carolina game this past game. It was ugly this past year. It was ugly. Yes, he struggled this past year, but you know what? He had a true freshman receiver and a transfer receiver as his top 2 receivers this season. The 2018 guys, they were all gone. So you have to understand what he was working with this past season. And I think a lot of times these scouts, some of these analysts, they think about what they saw just recently instead of looking back at Dan Marino. Let's think about him. He's a great example. His best year as a college pro came as a junior. He really went down in stock. The reason he lasted as long as he did in the first round of the NFL draft that year, he didn't play all that well as a senior. Sometimes it happens. Forget about it. Fromm can deliver. Don't grade him on this past season. And I think if you can forget about this past season and look back at those big games too, look at those films, especially the Alabama games. Look at those games. See how he performs. Tell me. Especially Jacob Eason, who, by the way, transferred out, might I remind you, transferred out of out of Georgia, because he knew he was not going to beat out Jake Fromm. So, and here's a guy, Eason. Everybody loves Eason. Look at his size. He's 6'5", 230, yada, yada, yada. Oh, I think he can go into mid-first. I mean, this is what's wrong about the NFL draft. People could fall in love with Jacob Eason because he's got tremendous size. And, oh, did you see how he played this past year? Well, look at how Jake Fromm played this past year. But did you see the receiving talent that Eason had compared to Fromm this past year? And in the only game that Jacob Eason played this past year where he had to go up against tough defensive competition, Utah, what was he, like 55%? Couple of interceptions, lost the game. Just look at him in his biggest games. And statistically speaking, I'm telling you, sometimes you get the stats even of a Jacob Eason, and it doesn't tell the whole story. Jacob Eason, Jake Fromm, boy, Eason's going to get drafted ahead of Fromm. To that, I have little doubt. I have no doubt that Jake Fromm is going to be a better quarterback than Jacob Eason. So, yes, Jake Fromm, who stands a very solid, by the way, what is he at? 6'2", 220, I believe, 6'2", 220, accurate arm, stands tall in big games. He is my number 3 prospect for quarterbacks in this year's class, behind Burrow and Tua, of course. Okay, let's now move along to the running back position. Let's take a look at Joshua Kelley. And a little bit different situation with Kelley because it's understandable why Kelley's a sleeper, really understandable, considering he was out west and just didn't get a fair shake. Anytime you're out west, you're not going to get a fair shake as it is, let alone if you're out west on a losing team. It's a double whammy situation for Joshua Kelley. But anyway, I think Kelley's a value pick, and I think, look, he's got such an underrated size, strength, and speed combo. Very underrated. He ran a 4.49 and 40 at the combine, which is only a tenth of a second slower than the number one rated running back prospect, DeAndre Swift. So speed's not a factor when you're comparing him and Swift. Also, you got to take a look at what also I believe separates him, and that is not just the fact that he has good speed, but he's got enough strength and also just enough elusiveness. By the way, did you see how quickly he got through that hole? It's one of the things I really like about Kelley. When he touches the ball, when he gets the ball, as soon as he gets it, if he sees the hole right away, man, he just shoots through it quick. Take a look at this right here. As soon as he gets the ball, makes that little cut. See, that is so underrated. For him to be able to know where the block is going to go and to make that little cut, and has the quickness and to get through the hole, and then the speed to get by defenders. That is so underrated. He made it look really easy there. He's all, and the strength too. I mean, he had 23 the bench. 23 reps on the bench at the combine. That was there weren't many running backs who did better than that. So he's got the strength to get by and if you have that little bit of shiftiness and you got enough strength where you can knock down that defender that's trying to grab you, especially if it's a defensive back, once you can get by that first guy, if you've got good blocking in front of you, that gives you the ability to get to the next level that much faster. That's what it really, that combination, again, the size, speed, and strength combination of Kelley, I think, is extremely underrated. And as I said, you play for a losing team out west at UCLA, nobody's going to think about you. Joshua Kelley, 289 yards rushing against USC, which just happens to be the best rushing performance in a single game in that entire history, the entire history of that historic rivalry. And not many people realize it. That just shows you there are a lot of people who don't get the talent of Joshua Kelley. All right, don't forget to order America's #1 draft guide, the Ourlads Draft Guide at ourlads.com. And you can do that by checking out ourlads.com. You go to the subscription area and you can order whatever subscription you like. You got the draft review guide. There's some really nice options. And also you got our mock draft challenge at ourlads.com you want to check out too. It's going to be a lot of fun. I understand a lot of people there are people suffering, and there are people suffering from health reasons and for mental reasons because they're stuck at home and they need some things to do. And, the NFL draft, there's nothing else going on right now in sports. So take advantage of our draft coverage because we're going to give you loads and loads of draft coverage, and order the guide because, boy, you looking for reading time? The guide is going to give you some awesome reading time. And we'll be back again real soon for many more of these reports here on the Our Lads Football Radio Network. We'll see you next time.